We've got this recorded. So welcome everybody to Auto Review Deep Dive Part 1. So there is a two-part process to this, or two-part webinar, because there's just not enough time to do a deep dive in 1 hour. So at the end of the session, I will be providing you the registration link for Part 2 and the details, as well as that will be going out with this recording as well too. So we'll have all that set up to go out hopefully this evening. Okay, so hello, I'm Tanya Hiltz, a certified professional bookkeeper, and I'm here because I am passionate about clean files. And you can find me at Tanya's Bootcamp. A little bit about myself, and I've realized this is not an updated. I've kind of shrunk this down, but a few things. Recently, I do have a level 5 certified advisor through Enter Plus with Jeannie Whitehouse, and as well have earned my accredited impactful advisor, which is an AIA through her most recently, and Insightful Accountants Top 100 Pro Advisor for 2018 through 2021. Intuit's Global Firm of the Future, CPB Canada board member of the Intuit Trainer Writer Network, and volunteer mentor through Futurepreneur Canada and Women in Accounting. And of course, you guys can read everything else if you would like to. Most of you already know me and know all that about me. So then we have Hardik. So Hardik, did you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I see a lot of familiar name. Probably most of these guys already know me. But again, so this is Hardik. I'm co-founder at Zenet. Zenet is on a mission to make accountants more powerful, scalable, and efficient by providing a platform that simplifies a lot of these accounting processes, right? So at this point, we have Autoreview, which is what we're going to deep dive today. And then we have another application called Zenet Port, which simplifies the bulk import, the bulk delete, and bulk update, kind of all those different bulk functions for the QuickBooks. Eventually, the goal is to create one platform that touch base on every single accounting process and simplifies all of them. So that's the kind of mission we are on. So that's pretty much it.
And the Zenet port, I was able to go in the other day and use it, and you've already done updates to it, because originally we had to export the information, change it, and re-import it. And I had a bunch of transactions I had to reclassify, and it just let me do it right within there. So you guys are already making headway on there. So that's just really exciting. Really exciting. And yeah, but that's awesome to be able to do everything without leaving the one platform, which is beautiful. Okay, so without a systematic way to start and keep data clean, bad data will happen. And that is a quote by Donato Diorio, founder of CEO Data Z. Inaccurate data has a direct impact on the bottom line of 88% of companies, with the average company losing 12% of its revenue. Now, those are some pretty staggering numbers. And it's just simply because the data is wrong, it's entered wrong, maybe it's not complete data, any one of those things. And if you're one of those bookkeeping or accounting firms that are providing a service to somebody and you're missing that 12% of the revenue, I mean, that's not something that I would want to be able to have that. So Autoreview provides the solution to ensuring that accurate data and making you look brilliant and enabling you to maximize the review process, and also potentially expand to different revenue streams. But like I say, we're just going to kind of go into a deep dive on that today. So first, before we do the deep dive, I just want to do a high-level overview. This is on the Zenet website in more detail on here. Not much more detail because it's very easy to get going. I will send the link out when I send this recording out later today. So high-level overview, step 1, add your clients. Really easy, connects to Xero and connects to QuickBooks. Beautiful integration, so you just go ahead and get them added. Step 2, invite your team. So it'll ask you who on your team that you want to have access to that file. So here, all of the whole team has access to everybody's files, but if you don't work that way, no problem. You can customize your team invites. 3, start the review process. Pretty simple. You just pick your dates that you want to run, hit the start button, and away you go. Step 4 is fix the abnormalities that you find within there. So it will start to tell you certain things that have different abnormalities. And then 5, you simply just ended the review process and you know you've closed everything off. So it's fairly easy from that aspect, but we've got to get in and start customizing our client files. And that's where it can be a little overwhelming. They've got some great things to start in there, but I know a lot of us like to dig deeper, like to find some things. I have all of our files customized. So we're going to get in through that and actually run a review like I would. We're going to get into some of the customized solutions as well, how you can get in there, really customize it. And what I want to do for the second one is I would like for you guys to reach out, and I'll put a little survey on there as well in the email that I send out with this recording. I would like to see what you want to see. So if there's something that you want customized, explain it to me. And in part 2 of this webinar, I'll be able to go in and show you exactly how to do what you've requested. All right, so we're just going to begin and just dive right in because that's why we're here. Okay, and then I will periodically look at the questions. Okay, and CPD, yes. I don't have the questions in here yet. So what I'm going to do is give me 2 seconds here. We may have lost the first one now, so thank you, Sherry, for reminding me of that. A lot of you may know I'm going off for surgery tomorrow, so I've been juggling an awful lot of things. And excuse me, I forgot to get some questions in there. So just give me one moment here. We'll get these poll questions put in here. And polls. Just bear with me. So maybe if you guys have some questions or some custom searches that you already know you want to see, just start typing them in. The Q&A would be better. Chat is really difficult for me to go through because sometimes you're just commenting. You want to go through that yourself. So anything like that, put that in Q&A, please. Okay, so question 1 will be, have you used Autoreview on your clients? And it's just a simple yes or no. So we're not going to make these difficult. Yes and no, save, and let's get that launched. Launch. There we go. So just have you used Autoreview on your clients? Yes or no? Love to see the answer. All right, we've got some new people who haven't used Autoreview yet. That's awesome. You'll be able to see, because like I say, I plan on doing a much slower deep dive into this, how we actually use it and how we can make things better. So we have got 100% of the people here answered. So we don't have to wait any longer. So that's great. So we have got 69% yes and 31% have said no, they haven't used it. So that's great that we've got some people on here who are curious to be able to see what this can do for you. All right, so let's just dig in. Make sure, yeah, my screen is still sharing, so that's awesome. Okay. So right now I've got my sample file up. So again, when you start, you add the file in, very easy. There are a couple of questions that are asked immediately, which I did not take screenshots for on this. But that helps you with your setup. So very, very easy with that, such as what is your capitalization limit? Okay, and so what we would do is, first off, you go in here and you just simply pick your dates. So these are great for cleanups. It's great for month to month. I know Sherry Lee Mathers, who's on the call, she actually uses it weekly on her files as well too. So there's a lot of, so we use it monthly, annually for cleanups. I also use it for a review on my team. I want to make sure that the team is being, reviewing everything's properly in here, which is great. There's tags that you can set up. So we've got some tags in here, custom tags set up as well. So let's just say we're just going to do a full year review on here. So let's go to let's just go November to October. So we've set our dates in here, which is perfect. By the way, my headset is beeping at me. So if I do cut out, if somebody can please just let me know that I've been cut out or cut off. because it's fully charged, so it shouldn't be beeping. So I'm not sure why it's beeping. Anyhow, so let's move on with this. So we've got our dates in here. And what I always do is I always go in and I pull the full history. When I'm setting a file up, I'm the only one who sets it up, and I try to set all files up consistently, so that way the girls, when they're working on them, they know what to go through and what to expect when they're in each file. So I first actually pull, let's just go ahead and pull the full history. The reason I do that is because if I want to catch everything that's in here, this is going to give me a much broader view. So I can go in and I can look and say, oh, uncategorized entries. So there shouldn't be anything in here. We've got an Ask Client uncategorized. We're going to do a setup in here, go into the setup. Auto review automatically selects things if the word is asked there, like ask accountant, ask bookkeeper, ask client, other, miscellaneous, uncategorized. Those are set up automatically, and they do a really, really good job of this. I have yet to add an account to here that they haven't gotten in here. But if there's any other account that you want to add in here, some, an uncategorized entry, or, again, anything like that sitting in an other, you can absolutely do that. So you can just scroll through and either look here, or you can go in and you can start to type. So you type in the word other, it's ticked, uncategorized, they're ticked, miscellaneous, they're ticked. So you can do that. We save it. And then you can also customize the columns. So if you want to customize the columns, you can just go in here. You can auto size this column, auto size all columns. We can move over here and you can customize what columns you see. So this generally starts off with the split amount. I don't like to see the split, so I get rid of the split, and I don't like to see the debit and credit. That can get too confusing at times. And just give me a lot of extra things that I don't want to see, because it shows both sides of the transaction. So I just go in here, I want to see the amount. So I take out the split, the amount. Is there anything else you want to see? Do you want to see, a memo description? Do you want to see the tax code? A note, all of this stuff. So you can put that in here. So note is something we would use in here. Memo description, that pulls from your accounting software. So you can do this when you go here. It now auto saves, which is great. You used to have to save it. It now auto saves. If we want to move these columns around, again, you can move the columns around and you've got that. We've got the tag here. Excuse me. Okay, can you guys hear me okay?
Yep, we can.
Yes, perfect. Okay, because my headset did power off on me. Okay, great. So we will continue on. So you can do all of this, it auto saves, and that's awesome. The tags. So there's the tags that we've got. You can add your own tags. When you add the tags, you don't add tags to a custom client. You add them to your practice, and then all clients will be able to have that. And then here's the tag column. So we have team discussion needed added to review, because we do a monthly review on clients' files, and the review goes to them. Review with Tanya, which is if, Leanne or Sandra need to review this with me. Coach back, that would be if there's something I want to coach back to Leanne or Sandra. So I do a quarterly review to make sure they're catching everything in what I would expect. And that's just coach back, and that's just simply training. Investigated okay, we are going to be getting rid of this one because you now have a sign off. So you can click it and it'll sign off. So if we click these and sign them off, then that's great. We're just going to come here and select sign off. Save. They're gone. Now, what happens if I want to go back and say, uh-oh, so we've got Sandra and Leanne working on them and they said, nope, they're okay to be there. What happens? How do we get them back? There is a way to get them back. You just simply select here. Nope, that's not working. There was right here, sorry, right here, included signed off transactions. So here they are. So if you've got, and this is on the transaction level. So if there's something that you know is okay, you've already okayed it to be there. So let's just say other income. So the other income right now for Canada, we've got our, our CEBA loans and our SUs and whatnot might be other income in our CERS. So that is something that would be another income that would show up on this list. We can tick them off that it's okay, and I can just hide them. So that way they don't come up on this list again. Because what happens is whenever you pull this, it will bring up everything that's here. And if we know we've already looked at it, so we had the tag saying investigated okay. But then of course, from the feedback, Autoreview went in and added these so that we can sign off and we don't even have to look at them. But I'm going to untick them so that they're not signed off. Perfect. Oops. Okay, so and we're going to customize each one of these so that way it works for us and for our client. So when they're going through, whoever's going through doing the review, there's, they're going to have to know what are they looking for. First off, we know nothing really should be in uncategorized. So this is going to take definitely knowledge and your expectations on the side of your team who's working in here to be able to know what it is that you expect to see here and whatnot. So we go through each of the next ones. We've got entries posted to parent account. So this will bring up the computer. So this is the assets. So we can actually click on here and this will take us, as long as QuickBooks is open and signed into that account, this will click on it and take us into this entry directly in the software. What their main goal is at Autoreview and Port as well, which is you heard Hardik say earlier, he wants us to be able to make all these changes and corrections from here. So this is going to, again, point out. So they've already got parent accounts, again, put in here. So if there's a parent account that you know you want to use for a reason and you don't want it in here, you just click the configuration and then you can go in and you can actually change it and you can exclude any accounts that you want to exclude. So this will tell you which ones to exclude that are here. You save it and you update it, and that's great. You can also export into Excel. And we'll just get this open. I love the way these reports look. They look much nicer than the ones coming out of QBO. And of course, any notes you would have are here. So if you wanted to send this to the client with any notes, you could do this, pull it all into the one, and you've got that there. Looks beautiful. You've got the notes to clients. If you say, you know what, I don't need them to see some of this stuff because it's in Excel, you can absolutely, delete any columns before it goes to them. You can clean it up if you wanted to. So there's a lot of options with that, and I love that. So you're going into these entries without names. So there's some that you might want to put entries without names. So your entries without names, I've got someone selected here. So I've got the GST, HST payable, GST, HST suspense, and I suspect it should be bank. Yeah, bank and interest, bank charges and interest. I don't care. Those go in all the time without the name, and those are fine. So I can put that in here that they don't have a name and I can save it. Everything else in here should have a name. So why doesn't it have a name? The data was not entered correctly and perfectly from this standpoint. So you could go in and edit these into the software. Make your edit again at the end of the day. So we're not connecting there right now, but at the end of the day, the idea isn't that you can do all of your edits from here or from the Port side of things. I do believe that Port and this are going to be planning on being merged together. So I'm just going to take a quick look and see if there's any questions at this point before we start really digging in to some of these other ones where we can really start to customize. So let's just go take a look here. So you're reviewing only October, yet is going back many months. That's fine. You just simply change. And I haven't clicked the start review yet either. And I do know that that's on purpose. But if you only want October, you just simply click October And there we go. Now you're looking at only October. So like I say, when I do a setup, I like to look at everything so that I can decide, it gives me a clearer picture of things that I want to include or exclude. When we're working on the month, we just simply work on the month. So that's for Richard. Excuse me. Yep, so that should answer your question there, Richard. Marnie, hi Marnie. Thank you. You know what that's like because you've done that recently. So yes, so thank you for that. And let's see. False readings. So Richard, you're saying it gives you false readings, not a review. Maybe later on we'll bring you in and kind of connect on that because it shouldn't be. It's bringing in the data directly from QBO and Xero. So if there's duplicates in there, it's going to show the duplicates, but it shouldn't be doing any false readings. And these are really, really low for me. So I'm not too sure. Maybe we'll bring you on and you can, talk about that when you're on there and try to figure out if there's a setting in there that maybe be causing that. And what if you do not need to go backwards, Richard? I think I've answered your question, which you just simply pick the month. And can you add the name in bulk? Yes, you absolutely can add a name in bulk, which is beautiful. So if you were to do this, so what you can do here is you can, there's only one here. So let me, first off, go in. And again, I'm going to just go for the full history. Oops. There we go. Okay, so if you wanted to add something in bulk, let's take a look at these utilities. So first off, what I did is just like in anything else that we're using in Excel or in our email, I just simply hit the shift, the top and the bottom, it'll fill everything in between. So then up here at the top, we want to select the customer. So what's the name? So we want to select the name here. So let's say these utilities are, there's no hydro one in there. So let's say they're just, I don't know, let's just say they're Bell Mobility because that is the name that's in there. And again, it's pulling that information from QBO. So that's really important to remember. So we've done that. Click save. And the beauty of this is it saves it and it pushes it back to QBO in bulk. So we can do, we've got bulk classifications in QBO, but if you're in here, why bother going in there? Now you see they've wiped off my list because now they have names. So they're no longer part of this. So it also shows here how many transactions you have that have any of those concerns and how many you have to deal with. When you start the review, it will actually automatically, so let's just hit yes to continue. Again, I don't start the review when I'm doing the initial setup, but it'll automatically take anything that's at a 0, sign it off by showing you it's a 0 and having it highlighted in green. Up here, it says it's 7% complete, and we just haven't even got started yet. So we'll show 100% complete when all of these are at zeros. So, which is really beautiful. Let's see here. Older months clearing it. So Richard's more concerned about how to finalize older months clearing it. Okay, so we'll just go on a little bit and then we'll jump back to that, Richard. Like I say, I think I'll have you on and you can kind of explain that. And if there's something that I can't, shed any light on, then maybe Hardik can do that. But if they're set off, if you've got them ticked off that it's okay, or sorry, signed off right here, that's how you're going to clear it. You're going to sign them off. Oops, sorry, I'm selecting multiple, signing them off, hitting save. And then again, they're going to disappear because we've signed them off, stating they're okay. And they will not show up again if we go back and view that without clicking right here to include the sign off transactions. Okay, so I think that's it. Perfect. Okay, no worries, Richard. This is a deep dive, and I want this to be as interactive as we can, because a lot of people were like, they've seen, the kind of demos, they see me fly through it, but wanted more of a deeper dive, and that's why there's two hours on this, because I want to be able to answer the questions, because I absolutely love this, and I want everybody to see why I love it. So that's great. Okay, perfect. So I'm just going to jump back into here, and we're going to take a look, because I think in the Q&A, Hardick seems to be having all those. So there's, again, negative and zero balance suppliers. This is great, because how many times have you taken a look and your AR report, it's got a negative on your AR report or on your AP report, so, or even zeros. All that means is your credits and your payments, nothing, it hasn't been applied properly, or maybe there are credits, but that's still something of concern. Is that wrong in the books, or is that right in the books? So now you can put this here, because I know with myself, if some people prepay, I don't put it into a prepaid account. I will put it as a credit towards their AR, and it will show up as a negative AR because there's no credit. So that can come up here. And again, this added to review, we are going to be getting rid of that, but I thought I would keep it in here for now. We're just going to tick them off, say it's okay. You can put a note in here. So in this case, ask the client how it was refunded. So we know Best Buy, is Best Buy really going to give you supplier credit? Probably not. They may put it on a charge card so that you can come back and buy it later, in which case then you can just create an account for that and have things pay from there, or you can just, refund it to a cash on hand, and then the cash on hand can be treated that way. So we know when looking at this that Best Buy should not have a negative or supplier credit on there. So that's the purposes of these ones. Same thing, your negative zero balance customers. This is now dealing with the AR side. Your duplicate entries. What I love about the duplicate entries is it shows you, are they cleared or not? So if they're not cleared in QBO, when you see a bill and an expense, and they've got the same day or close to the same day or the same amount, and let's say they're in a month you've reconciled, chances are one's a duplicate and the other one's not. So that's it's really good with that. Now this will bring up similar dates to the same amount. So there may be things that show up here that aren't truly a duplicate, but there's no way for quick or for auto review to know 100%, are they truly duplicates? So the only way, we're going to have to go in and we're going to have to take a look. Again, maybe somebody submitted something through a receipt bank, and then maybe it came in the bank feed, and then somebody added it to the bank feed without matching receipt bank or Dext or QBO receipt or whatever it is that you're using, or HubDoc, whatever you're using. So it could be something like that. It could be a duplicate, or it may not be. I know when I send stuff out through Canada Post for boot camp, if I've got people and I send it all out, I've generally got 3 or 4 from my Canada Post, and it flags it at that. And I know it's not, but this is again where you have to use your common sense with this, and make sure your team knows what you're looking for. So we actually do have, I've gone through with the team, let them know, here's what we're looking for. They've gone ahead and made their own notes. We have requested, there is a place that you can make notes in here. We've requested, and we'll request right live right now, put the pressure on Hardick. So we've actually requested that if there's a spot where we can put instructions on right up here within the report, that for each client, maybe what we're looking for or whatnot, to again help with training the team. So hopefully that may be coming out in one of the future releases. Duplicate names. So this is great. Duplicate names. Is this really truly a duplicate name? So if you're using a multi-currency account, you may have the same name, one with US, one with Canadian. It is still going to pull that in here. But what you can do is you can just sign off it, and it's gone. So it does not come up again. And in the case that it really wasn't, we are going to clear the sign off. Doesn't want to clear it, so I'll clear that later. But yeah, it'll clear just in case you hit it by mistake. So you can have the duplicate names for your suppliers, employees, and customers, which is great. your unreconciled entries, this is beautiful because we all know that we should be catching when we're reconciling. But you know what? Sometimes there are things that we maybe don't realize how long they're there or how old, they may truly be. So here we do this. So if you're reconciling a clearing account, again, you can go in and configure here and pick every account that you're reconciling. So we don't reconcile all these liability accounts. So we're going to move those out. But we do absolutely have, if we use a Square clearing account or something. So let's see here. So it might be the checking, the MasterCard, savings, credit card. Maybe you do have owner's draw. Now, another thing to point out that while we're here under this equity, if I just tick this main, it'll automatically untick all the subs under equity as well too. Same thing with other current asset. So some people do like reconciling a lot of these, some don't. So again, I love the flexibility that it has for that, which is great. New suppliers, customers, GL entries. I don't pay too much attention to this other than the new GL entries. It's nice to know, are they adding new suppliers and new customers, maybe especially if you don't want your client's hands to be in there in the QuickBooks. It's kind of a nice to know, but if it's a duplicate or a potential duplicate, it's going to show up in the duplicate names here or the duplicate entries. What I am concerned about truly is new GL entries. Who is putting a new GL entry in here? Why are they potentially putting in a new GL entry? Now, I just also want to point out while I'm here, so we've got the checking account. If we click on, again, on these little hamburgers, 3 lines on any of them, right here, we can collapse all. So if we collapse all, now I can see the names instead of all the details. And so for a report like this, I'm going to want to look at it like this, and then we can see the new GL entries. Now, this again is the full history. So I would expect there to be a ton of new ones. But if I'm looking month to month to month, what happens if somebody adds in, office supplies, but there's already an office expense? Does there really need to be another one? Why is it there? So it just helps keep our chart of accounts nice and small and clean, so that if we know what's being added in there, and make sure that we don't have anything that's potentially a duplicate in there. Unusual entries. So this here, and somebody might say, what does it mean? So on any of these, if you click the little eye up here, the info, it's going to tell you what this report is. So this is a report of all transactions for accounts which have not been used for 6 months or more. So it helps accountants or bookkeepers know if any entries were posted mistakenly. Okay, somebody said,
Tanya, can you hear me?
Speakers.
Can you hear me, Tanya? I don't think so.
Was somebody trying to speak? Oh, Hardik is talking. I'm sorry, Hardik. You know what? My speakers didn't. Let me change my speakers over. I'll stop and you can talk then. Sorry.
No problem. But I wanted to go back to new suppliers. What I mean to say is that there are kind of use cases for that as well. Especially the new suppliers is helpful for multiple purposes. One, it gives you visibility as to which new suppliers are created, because now you can check them and you can validate them whether those look genuine or not. Because what I have seen is that people at times don't pay attention to the credit card vendors, right? And I mean, in fact, it was the case where one of our clients found fraudulent charges just from this report, because they were looking at the new suppliers and they didn't recognize some of them. And they kind of figured that, okay, they never worked with those vendors, correct? So kind of that's one way. Second is that you can also see, it's like, imagine, I have my staff creating all the suppliers, creating and assigning the coding. Now I will have a visibility as to how exactly my staff has coded these suppliers. Because if they did a mistake, and if I don't rectify it right now, most likely they are going to continue the same account even in the future as well. So if I pay attention right now, and if I review the coding as well, and if I make sure that it's coded correctly, then it will also make sure that it's kind of will be taken care in the future. And third thing is also, I mean, this is more on the US side, is that some people also look at these new suppliers more for W-9 purpose, where they need to get the specific form from the suppliers, because every time there's a new vendor, and if they are applicable for a 1099 form, it's also helpful for them to figure those new vendors. So I mean, it's like all depends on how much it's helpful to you. So
Perfect. And I just am going to, if you've got something else you want to say, Hardik, for a minute, I'm going to go close my window because our neighbors weren't supposed to be here today and I can hear the sound and I don't want to disturb anybody else. So if you've got something else you want to say, please give me 2 seconds and go ahead while I close that.
yeah.
I am so sorry. All I have to say is, you know what? COVID. We all have to get used to it, right? We actually had Bill Poon come in and do a webinar for some of us yesterday, and he actually spoke at CPB Canada. And he's got 2 little dogs, and they just started barking. So he works for CAA or CRA, and they started barking like crazy. And he just went through it just without skipping a beat. Consummate professional there, but you know, COVID, I think, has allowed a little more tolerances for these things. So again, and I have speakers now. Thank you, Liz. I noticed that. And Liz, for those of you who didn't meet Liz, if you weren't at Scaling New Heights, Liz actually was at the Autoreview booth to help with them and, you know, kind of help people love it too, because Liz is a lover as well too. So hi, Liz. Thanks for being here. Okay, so Hardik, so Marie has asked, and this is actually a really good thing to add on. Can we filter the new GL entries by user? So if somebody's added here, is there an easier way than us going into QBO that you could potentially add to that we could add so that we could see the user that did that? Or do you not have access to the audit log?
Most likely it was the case, because I remember when we were designing this report, we were actually trying to add 2 things. One, the date when exactly it was created, and the user who created this account, right? And this was probably way back to a few months back, but I just made a point for that particular request, and I'll kind of check as well. If that information is available to us, we'll be more than happy to kind of display it here. But that's definitely a good suggestion for sure.
Perfect. And what I do want to say again, if you guys have heard me talk about Autoreview, you know, one of the things that I love about them is that you send it through. If they can do it, they'll make it happen, and things happen very quickly. So I log in from 1 week to the next and I find something new. They're little delighters. I'm like, oh, that wasn't there last week. So things get changed and added very quickly as long as the capability is there within the technology. So all right, perfect. So one more question here from Marie, just kind of while I move through this. But if the transactions were added directly from the bank feeds without supplier names, but the supplier name is an actual USD supplier, would you still be able to add the supplier name from Autoreview? So if I'm understanding correctly, as long as they're in the supplier list, in QBO, we'll be able to do that, correct?
Yes,
so it doesn't matter if they're USD or not.
Exactly.
These are on the list. Perfect.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Sounds good. All right, so let's just kind of go into a little bit more here. When we get into the review expenses, so again, sorry, the entries trend analysis and the unusual entries with 6 months. So again, if there's something, I expect to see my journal entries in here, things that are once a year in here. There's a lot of things here. So if you look, telephone hasn't been used in 6 months. That's a little strange. That should be used a little bit more. Original cost for an asset, I do expect that to maybe be, you know, not used every 6 months. So again, it just gives you that breakdown just so that you can kind of keep an eye on what's going on. When we get into here, your entries trend analysis. This will tell you either by payee or by ledger, by account, or by amount. So you can take a look. So if your bank charges and interest are, $10 a month, and you follow through, and then all of a sudden they've jumped up. Why did they truly jump up? And I'll tell you, on my own file, I had my HubDoc bill came through. It was this report that showed me, and I do my own entries, but it was this report that showed me that my HubDoc bill had gone through incorrectly. So I have some things that are set up on my own file to auto publish through Dext, and my HubDoc bill auto published, but it didn't catch the tax. So it was this report that I was able to see, hey, there's something wrong, and go back and fix that. And that was really impressive to me, because if I can catch a little mistake like that I made on my own books, imagine what we're going to find on clients' books when we're actually digging in, right? So and again, you can exclude, you can set these up. You can go in and exclude or include, which is why I like to do a full history, because I like to go through and I like to pick, what do we really want to see? If we see something that is not going to be every single month, or every second month, every third month, I don't want to see it here. I want to get rid of the visual clutter or visual graffiti, and I want to focus on what I need. So that's exactly why I start off by doing a full, as far back as it'll let me go, to set up my customizations initially. This list is amazing. I have to say, this is one thing that we cannot do in any single way in QBO at all, unless it's one by one by one. We cannot bulk it. If you've got a bunch of accounts here, supplier name, customers, or GLs, that there's been nothing found within the last 24 months, look what we can do. We can say, okay, nothing. We can make them inactive. It will bulk make accounts active to clean up your chart of accounts. It will bulk make your customers and your suppliers. Now, you will notice, I don't know if any of you noticed when I did that, I did this on purpose. And I'm not saying I just did it on purpose. I really did it on purpose. We included the retained earnings, the uncategorized asset, uncategorized income, and the unapplied cash bill payment expense. QBO doesn't allow them to get turned off. So it still doesn't allow the software to turn them off if you accidentally click them off, which is perfect. If there's still a balance, it won't let you do that. And then if you go back and say, uh-oh, what if I did something by mistake and want to reverse it? Simply go to inactive. Again, tick them all that you want, and then you can make them active. So you've got that, but this is great when you're trying to get things cleaned up. Again, the supplier list, customer list, and the GL, it's great to try to do that. So here, I'd already deleted it, and now it's not letting me reactivate it, just simply because the account type that it is. When we're going through here, again, it'll show you if there's a balance. So if there's a balance, you don't want to turn this off. Now, what happens if I try and close this out, make inactive? Let it do its thinking. It cannot be deleted because it has a non-zero balance. In QBO, you can make things inactive and it'll kind of just transfer that balance for you. Here, it will not allow you to do that. So it's got some really good safeguards in there. So it's beautiful to go through and use that. When we get into the review expenses, here's GL misclassifications, inconsistent amounts, or missing forms. Again, I like to look at the whole thing, and you can go either by payee or by GL. And then it'll tell you, where is an inconsistent amount. So then you can go in here and customize it. And again, get rid of the stuff that is not going to be consistent. Anything that is going to be consistent coming in every month, that's here. Now, I never go in and do, like any inventory purchases. I don't include that in here because inventory purchases could be all over the place. But again, if you want to watch for that, you have that ability to be able to go in and do that. And it'll definitely bring notes of all of those so you can take a look and you can sign them off. Account balance checks. So your account balance checks, this is fairly new. So this is when there's a conflict, it shows red in the conflict. So a clearing account should be at 0. It's a conflict because it's not at 0. GST, HST expense, again, we expect it to be 0. It's a conflict because it's not. So we can look into it. Maybe they were paid, kind of the day after, that's outside of the scope of this range. But again, it gives us something to go in and take a look at. Accounts with an unusual balance. Again, this is if it should be a positive balance, but it's showing as a negative. So if it should be a debit, showing as a credit, should be a credit, showing as a debit. This is going to catch that, which is beautiful. And again, you can go in and you can customize which ones you want it to show and which ones you don't want it to show, which is great. An account violating your threshold limit. So if we just look here, it'll go through and you can have something that if it's going over a threshold limit that you set up, so you can put in here, it says 5K, you can put in 1K, you can put whichever, it will warn you that it's over that much of a balance. So let's say you want to get an extra warning when your AR is over a certain amount, that could pop up here, or for anything else. Again, a credit card, if it's going over a certain limit, and it has that. So you can be warned of any account. You can be warned of, your asset accounts, your expense accounts, your balance sheet accounts. Any account that has that you want to have that warning, you can set that warning up for.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right. And in fact, the cash account, right? I mean, generally for the retail clients, like restaurant clients or grocery stores, I mean, you may not have that much of cash, but you could also set some sort of conditions that, okay, anytime if my cash balance is, let's say, more than $1,000, I want to see that, because generally you don't expect cash to be more than $1,000. So things like this, you could also set it up. So.
Yeah. And I just want to say, yeah, Richard noticed, he says it's a really great demo. He's now noticing that it was, the fault of the setting, the way things were set up in there or not set up for all, for these duplicate transactions. Thank you for saying that, Richard. But this is exactly why, with the feedback, when Hardik and I spoke, we said, you know what, let's do a deep dive. Let's do, again, we'll do a two-parter. So that way you guys can go ahead, go back, play, and come back with the hard questions. Because if we can't solve them, Hardik's here and he'll go back and he'll try and make something happen and make it work. So that's great. And it's getting to know it, because there's things that, Sherry Lee and I, we've been working with them since last July, I think, and going in and setting stuff up. So I think we're probably the biggest power users out there, but it's the same thing that we could go in, and until we got in and kind of either figured it out, or we'd report back to Hardik, this isn't working. And Hardik would say, no, it needs to happen this way. So again, this is exactly why we're doing this. I'm really glad that you're getting benefit and value from this. So that's perfect. Okay, so now let's just get into some custom reports. So I'm just going to go through right now some of the custom reports that I set up for my team, what we're looking for. And I did notice somebody was looking for one of the similar reports. And then again, I don't know that we're going to have enough time to really dig in, but I'm going to make sure that when the webinar goes out this time, even if you can't make it for next time, if you've got my recordings, then if you sign up for the webinar, that you're going to get the recording. So even if you can't make it next time, again, put in your case studies or your case use scenarios, and we'll go in and we'll actually show how to set this up. So the review reconcile discrepancies, the capitalization limit check, those come up automatically. And then you just simply pick the threshold amount. You can go back in and change them. You can change the threshold amount. You can change, you just click the little pencil. You can change the rules surrounding this once it's set up. So I know that if I'm just setting a client up, I'll just kind of, go through that really quickly. And when I have the time to sit down and do a deep dive setup, I will go in and I will just modify it at that point. But we've started doing, and Sandra's on the call, so I don't know if Sandra's got anything she wants to put in here because she uses these. We used to have these reports set up in QBO for a tax code review, and Marnie's on the call. And Marnie, we actually use Marnie. So Marnie, this report is all credit to you, these next two reports, because these are exactly what you said to use in QBO that you use. We've now taken them and set them up in here. It's just a little easier to see when we're here. And in QBO, sometimes we're going from report to report to report. Here, it's all here. So we've got a tax code review on the income, excuse me, so we can take a look. If I move tax code up here, we can either move tax code up here. So now it'll sort by tax code. And if I want to just go in here quickly and collapse all of them, now I can choose what ones to go into. Out of scope, should something really be out of scope? So this is invoice to Sandra, services out of scope. I don't think so. No sales should be out of scope, at least not here in Canada. So we know we can go in and take a look at those. We could also, if we take that out and want to sort by the account type, we can go in and sort, again, is it services? What account type is it? So I'm going to do a quick collapse solve, and no, it's services. So it does not do any good for me in this case to have it set from there, but it's just a quick drag and drop to get it to resort in the way that you want it to look, which is beautiful. So that way, when Sandra does her quarterly GSTs, she can go in, she can take a look, she can correct this right in here or go in QBO and correct it, whichever needs to be done. So if there's multiple, the one thing we can't do here yet is reclassify the GST HST code. So that will pop into our reclassification tool under our accountants tools, and we'll do that there. The tax review code for the COGS and expenses, again, we've got this up here. So again, right now it's default to sort by account. So then again, we can just go in, collapse them all. There's them all collapsed. So you can decide if you want to dig into them more, or again, change it to the tax account. Now, how you would set these up, because again, this is what we're here to learn today, is how to set these up, is you're going to click on this plus, and we're going to go in, and what are we looking for? We're looking for, and I could have put income all under the same one. I just found it easier to separate in here. So we're looking by GL account is, and then we can go through and we want cost of goods, we want expenses, we want any fixed assets that might have been added. Income is a different report. Other current assets, other expense. So we're going to put those off and we're going to hit search. And then we just simply save it. And this is the search. If we want to tighten this a little bit more, we can go in and we can say, okay, the transaction type, the transaction amounts, I guess last modified to tax code, tax amount, tags. So we can put a lot of this in. You can add a cleared status to any of these. So this is exactly how you go in and you do your search parameters. So it's one, if you want it to filter further with a different search parameter, you simply add the other one. And then you save the search and you rename it. So it's fairly simple for that. And these ones here, again, it's just one simple search. So the GL account is revenue. This one here, GL accounts are COGS and expenses. Shareholders no tax. How often does something from shareholders or owners draw off their sole prop go through with taxes? It happens all the time. So here, we've got this here. We've got this set up so that it'll automatically see, oh, this is HST. We need to correct this before we go through and do the HST return. So again, we review these monthly, and they're reviewed quarterly by Sandra, and they're reviewed by me quarterly to make sure that the team is catching what I expect them to catch. So we're down to 4 minutes left right now. We will pick up where we've left off because I really want to be cognizant of the time so that those that are observing Remembrance Day in Pacific Standard Time can take their 2 minutes of silence at the end. So I'm just going to go through here really quickly, see if there's anything else that's not been answered. And then when we get to the next one, we can even bring more people on and have it more interactive because that's when we're really getting into a lot of these custom searches. Again, I'll show you what I have. We'll find out what you want and find a way to make it. So just going through here. Yep, Paul Burns, who's he's another one that uses this and gives lots of feedback, which is awesome. Most clearing accounts should be nil balance at the end of the month under the balance check. So that's really good. And that was up here, right there, the new one with the balance checks. Richard, again, I'm so glad that you're taking away I would love for you to think about those things because auto review should be able to find almost anything. Think about those anomalies that are in there and really challenge me. I will actually have a prize if somebody can challenge me with something that I can't figure out. I'll have a prize that I'll send you. So that should get some really good interaction for next time. And that's great. And Marnie, love it. And that's great. Thank you. And again, like those the tax code reviews, those are all due to you and you're brilliant and from your GST, HST. So thank you for that. I know Sandra loves them. So that's awesome. So does it pick transactions marked out of scope at the transaction levels or just transaction using the OOS code? I think we've answered that right here where it does pick up the out of scope. I will double check that, Marnie, because, oh, nope, Sandra's confirmed that. Yes, it does. The tax code will be blank. Exactly. Yes. Thank you, Sandra. The tax codes will be blank for those that are out of scope at the transaction level versus the item level. Perfect. Thank you, Sandra. Okay. And looks like I think Marnie's loving it. I think she's going to be using over to here for her codes for that. So it looks like everything's answered. We've got 1 minute to go. So again, I want to thank you, everybody. I'm just going to pop up very quickly. Here are the details. So it'll be Wednesday. I want to say it's the 24th, not the 25th. So that's my typo, 1:30. The link to register will be sent out tonight because again, going in for surgery tomorrow. So I want to get this out tonight. So I'll have that sent out. There will be a questionnaire for try to stump Tanya and the link for there. And just here's just a really quick pricing for the auto review. Promo code Tanya20 will get you 20% off for the first, I want to say 3 months. And here's just a cost versus benefit, $90 USD per client for the whole year. Canadians, we actually get Canadian costs. So you'll notice here, $8.50 per file. So love that they've done that.
And we will also have Black Friday by the time we talk next time. So we can also
Black
talk about
Friday.
that.
Love that too. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so great. Thank you very much. We will cut off now so that people in Pacific Standard Time can observe their 2 minutes for Remembrance Day. Again, thank you very much. You will watch for that email tonight. And again, absolutely any questions, I'm going to have a feedback form on that and try to stump Tanya for a prize. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. We'll speak to you later. Bye.